Okay, we are now joined by NASCAR Executive Vice President and Chief Racing Development Officer Steve O'Donnell and NASCAR Senior Vice President of Strategic Innovation, Ben Kennedy. Ben, I'll start with you. It's been talked about a lot this week. This has been your vision. How does it feel shortly?
I think an incredible day for the sport. Really proud of NASCAR, the industry, everyone coming together. Patrick Rogers and the entire team did an incredible job. Derek Maldani and the rest of the folks building the track. Really proud of the group, and then teams and drivers I think really coming together and rallying around this. And then Fox has just been tremendous with us. 6 hours on Big Fox today, and I think this will be great as we look to kick off our season in 2 weeks for the Daytona 500. So really good day and proud of the sport today.
Steve, you had many members of your team practically living out here for the last month or two. What are your thoughts after seeing the racing, from the racing product, but from the grand scheme, from a high level, how you feel right now after watching what you just saw?
Yeah, I would just echo what Ben said, applauding, Ben and really taking a chance, and Patrick and the team for putting this together. We looked at a number of different venues. Ben and I went on a few road trips, and I think, Ben's work getting here with USC, who was a terrific host for us, and just seeing the industry not only come together but have fun. And when you look at this next-gen car and all the pressure that was on really the entire industry and all the long hours coming into this, I think a lot of us in the industry forgot that we're in a pretty cool sport, and it is fun to be a part of. And, this event delivered, and I think it delivered on that. You saw it in the drivers, the industry, saw it with a lot of folks in the media even, which was cool. So I think a lot of folks had fun. We're going to learn. The next-gen car wasn't really a story, and I'm happy for that. We wanted to come out here. This is probably the toughest test we could have on the track that we set up in terms of durability, beating and banging, drive line, different things. So we'll learn from that. But all in all, really successful debut for the car as well.
Okay, if you have a question for either of these gentlemen, raise your hand. We'll get your mic. Start with Jerry, then go to Bob, and then AC.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. I just saw Kyle and Austin high-five you guys as y'all were walking in here. What does that mean for you guys to know that the drivers obviously seem to think this was a success?
I think it goes back to what I said. People having fun and getting back to, going out there and racing. And today was what we're all about, really the whole weekend. And if you look at, what the drivers have done for the sport over the off season, really getting out there and help promoting us. It's a big market for us, and it was important for us to come out here and look like we're having fun, even if we weren't. But that wasn't the case, because I think everybody was really enthusiastic, ready to go. They wanted to win this race, and I think that showed. And I think that, high-fiving us is more we're doing the same, because they delivered and put on a great race for us.
Go to Bob.
Bob Hockers, Fox Sports. Ben, you said that there's the option to return here. I'm curious if you, or not. I'm sorry, you didn't say that. Somebody else said that. But did you? My question is, did you see anything today that made you want to do this again specifically here, or did you see anything today that made you say, okay, we need to do this somewhere else because of just things that potentially you could do either in other places or to bring this type of atmosphere to another market?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think coming out of today, we're going to go back, do a pretty in-depth post-mortem on this event. Certainly, there were a lot of new things that came along with this event, from Pitbull to Ice Cube to DJ Ski, and then everything along with the format and the entire event, really. So I think we'll go back to that and then really think about what the future might look like, both for being here at the LA Coliseum and then just the type of venue in general too. I think there are a lot of questions coming in as to what the racing product might look like on track, and I think between the format that we had with the heat races, last chance race, and then all the way through the main, at least from a fan perspective, a lot of energy in the bowl, and hopefully those tuning in on TV enjoyed it as well. No, I don't think so.
We'll go to Alan, then Dustin, and then go upstairs.
Alan Cavana, Speed Sport. For both of you, either of you, Kyle just suggested the potential success of today could factor into what happens at California Speedway, whether it stays the same, stay there, what have you. What do you think of that suggestion, and is that possibly true?
I think that's fair. I think that's one of the things we're looking at as you look at the long-term schedule. And it's certainly something, as Ben stated, you look at the Clash and the role it's played for us historically. It's always been part of Speed Weeks. And really the initial intent for that was to promote the Daytona 500. And it did that, I think, up to a time when maybe it ran its course. And I couldn't think of a better promotion for the 500 than what we just saw, really leading into this. The enthusiasm, the talk, what Fox did for us was tremendous, promoting the Daytona 500. So, for us, looking at different venues, I think also part of it is how do we continue kind of that march to launch our season and what's the right way to do that. But California as a racetrack, we're looking forward to getting back there, in 3 weeks, I guess, Ben? It's pretty quick. But looking forward to the racetrack they have now. We've historically put on some pretty good races there. First time for next gen, so we'll see how that plays out.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Ben, I understand you talk about trying to look back and look at the data and trying to figure things out, but I mean, obviously, eye test, you had a large crowd, you had a race that was not, as bad as what some people thought. You had the entertainment. What do you need to look at to figure out what you want to do next? Because eye tests seem like a lot of things probably measured in what you were looking for.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think the energy behind the crowd here was amazing. I was walking back to the media center right after the event, and a ton of people smiling, ton of people laughing. The energy was really just contagious. So it was great to see the fan reaction. Looking forward to watching it back on TV again. But I think we'll have a lot of data coming out of this. I think there is certainly potentially a future here, and we'll probably try to make a decision on that sooner than later.
And I mean, how realistic is it comes back, or did this event show that it should move around? If it can, and again, I know there's always weather issues. There's not too many places you probably can go in a sense either.
Yeah, it's something that I think we'll certainly look at. Los Angeles, as we've mentioned from the start, is a really important market for us. It's important for us to get here in a big way too. It's been 2 years since we've competed in Southern California. To be able to get back here to downtown Los Angeles at the LA Coliseum and then come back 3 weeks later at Fontana, I think it was really important to us. And the Coliseum and USC have been tremendous partners. So that'll be certainly an important part as we think about this. But, to your point too, if we can prove this out of proof of concept, it does open the door to go to other locations too in the future.
Go upstairs for a couple.
Louis Frank from Reuters. Hey, Ben, putting the question a little differently, obviously you said you're going to, analyze this weekend, this event. So what's on your wish list? Kevin Harvick mentioned Wembley. Austin Dillon said Cowboy Stadium. If you could go someplace, where would you like NASCAR to go? And you're too young to remember, under your grandfather's era, they raced in Japan, and I think there was a bunch of people in Australia.
Yeah, I don't remember Japan. I remember watching videos of it, and that was pretty neat. But I think as far as venues go, and I talked to Kevin in the elevator yesterday, and he was talking about that. I think it does open the opportunity and door to do that. I think it's going to be really important as we think about those venues, the size of it. And I think, the Coliseum was a perfect footprint as you think about the size of the field itself. I don't know that we want to make the radiuses of the corners that much tighter. I think you'd probably play with the straightaway length a little bit. But I think that'll be an important factor because, if we are going to take this to other locations, we want to make sure that the racing product is good for our fans.
Where would you like to go?
We'll stay up there for another question.
To follow up, but where, if you could just pick one place that you would like to go that you haven't fully analyzed. Sorry, stick your feet to the fire.
I'll help out with this one. I think everything's open. I think, Louis, to Ben's point, you look at the footprint, and one of the unique things about this stadium is, the Olympics and the track that they had around a football field doesn't really exist anymore in a lot of the purpose-built football stadiums. So it's a lot tougher to look at that footprint of what might have the room for us. I think certainly if you looked, and I'm not advocating that we're taking the Clash overseas, so I don't want anyone to take that away from this, but it does open up the opportunity for us if we wanted to showcase NASCAR. We've always talked about, Ben and I, you got to go to a road course or they've got to build a track somewhere if you're in Europe. Not anymore. I mean, we've just proven out that you can go to a really cool stadium with a track around it, and we know what to do, and we can go in and out, and there's some opportunities there. So I think Ben, if he hasn't already, is already studying the footprints of a lot of different stadiums in the U.S., what works, what may not work, but also pretty happy here, right?
Do we have another one upstairs?
Yeah, Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires. This question is really for both of you, but on Twitter, you guys are trending over the NFL with the Pro Bowl. You're #1 trending on Twitter with the clash and the whole event going on here. Did you guys expect that? Was that a goal at all, or is that kind of a shock to hear that?
Ben will have to answer that. I got kicked off Twitter.
No, I don't think anyone expected that. I've actually been following on Twitter throughout the day and the different trends, and it's great to see the reaction around it, the engagement with our fans, certainly here, but worldwide as well. I had a friend that actually texted me the other day and sent me a picture of it was a news channel, and it was covering us from Australia, which is neat. So really, as you think about, we have fans from 50 states here. There's also people all around the world watching us today. So really neat that they were able to get that, and cool that we're still in that spot.
We have 2 more upstairs, and then I'll take it back down to Zach, then Jeff.
Congrats, guys. What used to be that you would do, you would do a play-by, like simulations for stuff when you were trying new stuff, Now you got iRacing, and you could try it that way in computer simulations. But it used to be hours upon hours of playing what-if scenarios. Was that true with this and all the what-if scenarios that could have happened, and it didn't happen, so here you are?
Yeah, I think with iRacing in particular, they have been tremendous with us. I was talking to Steve Myers during the race. They were really happy about it, but they've been great partners with us. And as we think about testing out these new venues, to be able to develop it virtually before we actually come here and build a track has been really helpful. And I think as we think about kind of other concepts in the future, having them as partners is really neat, both from a competition perspective as well as for the fans in the stands. We did a bunch of sightline studies with different variables of banking too, and it was really good feedback.
We'll take one more for upstairs and then go back down here.
Mike Hembry from Auto Week. Steve, can you envision a situation where you would have a points race at a track like this, but with an abbreviated field?
Yeah, it's a really great question, Mike. I would say right now, no, but I think there are a lot of things we want to take away from this to learn. Historically, right, everyone who grew up on short tracks, this is what you do. We have a charter system. We have 36 teams, and I was really proud of the industry coming together to work together on this format, knowing some folks would go home from a big event. So there's a lot we'd have to really think about to do that. A lot of it was, how much time we would have on a broadcast window to allow someone, if they were coming out, that it was worth it for a sponsor. So, a lot of factors would have to come in. You never totally rule it out, but a lot of work, and seems to really work for exhibition races, but we'll see on a points race.
We'll move down here to Jeff and then Zach.
It was really refreshing to see the drivers have fun, as you alluded to earlier, because it's not something we've seen that often. Do you have any idea of how you can keep unlocking that attitude when the season starts going and it gets into that, this regular routine of the points races? How do you sort of maintain this new attitude that they had going forward?
Jeff, I think part of it started actually during the off season, and you look at the rules package we had that I know was unpopular to some, but to a lot of our fans was popular. And so that was a difference kind of between NASCAR and the drivers, and it was tough, at times. And I think the process we went through with the drivers in the industry on this new rules package, working together and landing where we did, there was a real trust factor built in, even prior to, hey, we're going to the Coliseum, and hopefully you guys have a good time. That they were all in, and they understand the importance of the next gen car and feel like they're a part of it for the first time, which I think is unique. I'm not going to promise, as we get through some races, but really do feel like we've got a much better relationship in terms of listening, but also having an understanding when we do make a certain decision there is some reason behind it. And because we went left and you wanted to go right doesn't mean we didn't listen. It just is, there's some reasons we did it. But they were a big part of this event too. I think a lot of them, worked with Ben in terms of what the format should be, how we should do it, and that was a great result. I don't know if you want to talk about who you talked to, just with Kurt Busch and other folks factoring in. And
Yeah, I think the collaboration across the entire industry was phenomenal. Working with both the industry and then Fox, just in even creating the format itself. We played with a handful of different formats and really a true partnership and collaboration across the board. And then to Steve's point, have talked to a handful of drivers and have had them reach out to just with feedback about the course. A few of them jumped on iRacing, got their perspective on it, even down to the rumble strips that we had in the corners too. The rumble strips, the painting that we had on the apron, a lot of that came from the drivers. So super helpful to have that feedback, and I think the collaboration there has probably better than it's been in a long time.
Go Zach, and then up front here. Yeah, Zach in the black shirt back there.
Zach Sterniel with FrontStretch.com. Two for you, Steve. One, there were some mechanical issues, not a ton by any means, but we saw driveline issues with both the 14 and the 8 car in the feature. Do you think that those are more isolated incidents, vendor issues? Is that still just something to figure out and debrief after this event?
Yeah, I think still a lot of debrief that needs to go on, but if you listen to the 8, he said he caused that, and I'm not trying to deflect blame, but I think that's something that's going to happen. We're still looking into the 14, and so we'll kind of look through each and every car, not only those, but the incidents we had, impacts on the wall. What did we see different? What broke? You saw a lot of cars that historically, if we ran this race last year with the old car, would have been out with tire rubs and tire damage. So that was a positive, but any part or piece where we see an issue, we're going to have a big debrief and make sure we're on it and fixing anything we can. So still a little bit early on that one.
And then just your overall reaction to the quality of the racing. I know the second last chance qualifier got a little bit messy there throughout that particular race, but it seemed like the feature itself was clean. Everyone was able to be aggressive, but we had long green flag runs throughout that race. What was your reaction? Was it surprise, relief? What was it?
A little bit of both. I think all in all, though, it was probably some pride also in our team and the work the industry did, because you didn't hear drivers getting out saying, or even prior to the race, that I can't drive this car. And knowing going in that this would be a really difficult race to have drivers be able to put cars in certain positions. And we didn't hear any of that. Certainly there were challenges, but we saw a lot of teams who, in practice were junk and were able to make some adjustments and then compete and almost compete for wins or a win today. So I think a lot of things we'll learn, but all in all, really proud of, how it performed up until, the feature wasn't even a storyline. My wife actually, you think we don't talk, but is this the new car race? And I was like, really? Are we having this conversation? But then I stopped myself and I was like, this is good. If that's not in the broadcast as the lead storyline, that's the way it should be. So all in all, really pleased with the result.
Come to the front row here.
Hey guys, the very poetic Pitbull actually kind of shouted out NASCAR a couple times during his performance. To quote him, he said, "That's what life's about: taking challenges, taking risks." And for both of you, just looking back at kind of all the people who might have doubted this at one point or another through all the new things that we're trying here, just final thoughts on kind of coming out of this and all the risks with a positive outlook.
Yeah, I think it was a risk, and we knew that from the start. And as we've talked about the schedule over the past couple of years, we talk about being bold, we talk about being innovative, and that's part of it. Went to some new tracks in 2021. We're going to go to Worldwide Technology Raceway later this year, but this was something new, something different, and we challenged ourselves, and the team challenged themselves to think about this event differently. And having Pitbull as a kind of pre-race concert, Ice Cube as a halftime performer, which we've never done before, DJ Ski, and then just everything around the marketing and promotion of it really is a total team effort, but it's also wiping the slate clean and thinking about it differently. And really proud of the outcome today, and I think it was successful.
Yeah, I would echo just one thing too on the France family obviously has been around a long time, and Steve Phelps coming in and enabling us to do this. But, you know, because Ben is a pretty humble guy, also didn't waver. And there were naysayers even internally. And I think when you look at, you know, having Ben say, no, this is going to work, this is going to be cool, and his background carries a lot of weight internally, and it was cool to see because there's some ideas that I think some of us may have had in the past that, you know, we needed that extra push, and, you know, Ben did a lot of that, led from the front, which was really cool to see.
We'll go to the back, then we'll go upstairs.
Hey guys, Alan Bailey, ARN. First off, congratulations on the success of this event. It's trending on Twitter. Fans are speaking extraordinarily positively, and new-time NASCAR fans are very hyped on this. On that note, some of the drivers said that they might actually like to see something like this event happen to the All-Star race. Is that something that you guys are internally considering now, considering the success, to potentially do something like this with the All-Star race, or maybe move the All-Star race to different venues year after year?
I think it's something that we'll certainly evaluate as we evaluate, you know, our entire schedule from start to finish. This was one of those events that we felt like was an opportunity for us to reinvigorate. You know, we've had the Clash for a number of years at Daytona, wanted to shift it to a new market, do something different that we've been talking about for a while, to Steve's point, on the international side. But I think we're going to continue to look at all of our races, whether it's the points races or the exhibition races. And I think we've had a little bit of change with the All-Star race, which has been positive for us, you know, moving from Charlotte. We had it at Bristol, and then moving to Texas, just kind of creating that newness for it, which I think fans get to look forward to.
Take one from upstairs.
Hi, Kathy Brown, pitting outside the box. My question is for Ben. In a couple weeks, you guys are going to be going to Auto Club Speedway, and in saying that, you had a lot of first-time NASCAR fans that came to this event. And in speaking with them, a lot of them came, you know, out of the curiosity standpoint, but also it was the entertainment factor. Now, how are you going to continue to ride this high and keep the momentum going? Is there any changes you have planned with Auto Club, maybe bringing in more entertainment or different entertainment on such short notice?
You know, I'm not sure. You know, I think as we talked about this event initially, it was important that, you know, we not only had a successful event, but then we have a successful event when we come back for Fontana too. So, you know, to your point, this event was a little bit different than we've traditionally had, especially with the exhibition race. That said, I think we're going to have some learnings out of this. There might be a few things that we may take and apply to other races. There might be a few things that we don't take and apply to other races. But I think that's what this entire event was about, is about learning, creating a proof of concept, and then seeing if there are things that we want to take to some of our other events.
Come back down here.
Joey Vaca, Cronkite News. I asked the drivers this, now both of you. You talk about the importance of this market for the sport, but what about bringing it to this building with such a rich sports history? What do you guys think that does for the sport as a whole?
You know, I'm personally, I know Ben is too, I'm a huge sports fan outside of NASCAR, and I get tired of hearing the Big Four and the Big Four, and I look at our ratings and I look at our attendance and I say, why aren't we in that discussion? And to be able to come here, put on a great event, showcase our talent, showcase how much fun our sport is, was really important, I think, and that's a big deal. And this venue is iconic. I mean, you know, it's a place where if you're a football fan, you know, who doesn't want to come out and watch a USC game once, you know, in terms of, you know, even if you're not a USC fan, the Olympics, Super Bowls, baseball. So I think it was just cool to be able to say, you know, we were able to race here, and I know the drivers said that, Ben, right, that this is certainly a place they wanted to win.
All right, we'll take three more. We'll go Jerry, Dustin, and Rep in the back here.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. I would ask this for Ben, but I know he's not going to answer it because he's too humble. So, Odie, Ben is a racer. He started off racing. His ascension through the ranks is he was with an international. He's 30 years old. And to have this vision, what does this say to you and the whole sport of NASCAR for the future of the sport with him coming up with ideas like this and working with everybody on the team to come up with these ideas and make it successful?
I think it says we've got a really bright future. You know, I never had a doubt with Ben. You know, Ben worked his first assignment, came out, worked with me on the trucks, and we said, all right, we got to go talk to all the truck owners and figure out what we were going to do. I think it was around new engine program. And the next day, Ben came back and had talked to every single truck owner, had notes and everything else that it took previous people a couple weeks. And I knew then that this guy wanted to work, wanted to see the sport grow, and was really impressive. And I think always on top of things, great communicator, well liked, which is cool. So he won't say it, but deserves a ton of credit for seeing this through from the beginning and then staying on top of it, even when there were challenges, to say this is where we're going.
Dustin?
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Ben, I know the talk ahead of time was a potential crowd of 50 to 60,000 or so. Did you guys top 60,000 today?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think we'll probably know in the next few days or so. I can tell you the bowl looked really good. I think people filtering in over the heat races, last chance race, and Pitbull concert, we were really kind of pushing that 3 p.m. window for fans to show up. So I think you saw that over the course of the day. I think optically it looked fantastic, but we'll go back and comb through the numbers the next few days or so.
Is it okay it wasn't a sellout?
What's that?
Is it okay it wasn't a sellout?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was fantastic. Everything about the day, ton of energy with the crowd. I watched a handful of interviews, and a lot of new fans that were out here and having a great time too. So the energy and buzz, I think, was really positive from a fan perspective. And then everything that we've heard, at least from the teams and drivers before the race, has been really positive. And then, the few that we've seen since has been good too.
And we'll wrap right here.
Hey guys, Alan Bussell, Yahoo Eagle Broadcasting. The pandemic restrictions in Los Angeles is a little more elevated than in other cities. How did that factor in logistically? And the turnout, though, we're going to assume you're still pretty satisfied with.
Yeah, I would say logistically, we were pretty well schooled in different states, different counties, where you had to go due to COVID, from no fans to partial fans. So, part of this was making sure we're in lockstep with what the rules were going to be. And I think our team, Tom Bryan and the whole crew, did a tremendous job working hand in hand with all the local authorities to make sure that we were there. And back to your crowd question, the crowd met every expectation we had going in. So when you look at the naysayers prior to, when you look at where we were with the Clash in Daytona, it's a home run. And I think the enthusiasm, the demographic, a lot of young people out there having fun is exactly what we wanted.
Steve, Ben, thank you so much for your time, and
Thank you.
have a safe
Thanks
trip
for being
home.
out here, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.